where Imam al-Busayri rahimahullah وقدس الله سر العزيز ونفعنا بعلومه بدارين لا طيب يعدل تربا ضم أعظمه طوبى لمنتشك منه وملتثم لا طيب يعدل تربا ضم أعظمه طوبى لمنتشك منه وملتثم. No perfume is equal to the fragrance of the earth, the grave, that contains his bones, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so delight and pleasure be to the person who smells it and kisses it. Now the author, after having praised the attributes of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam before his departure from the earthly life, now mentions that these qualities of excellence have not departed from him sallallahu alaihi wasallam even in the abode of the grave. Part of honoring the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is to glorify all that is ascribed to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, place, possessions, etc. Al-Qadi Iyad, he mentions in his Shifa a narration reported from Safiya, who said, there is an incident pertaining to the lock of hair on my father's forehead. She's talking about Abu Mahdura. You know Abu Mahdura, one of the muazzins of the Prophet in Makkah. This is the daughter of the muazzin in Makkah, Abu Mahdura. She's saying, there is an incident pertaining to the lock of hair on my father's forehead. When he sat down, its hair touched the ground when untied. If he never tied up, it will touch the ground. It was said to him, why don't you cut it? So long. Why do you not cut it? He replied, I am not one to cut it after the messenger had touched it with his hand. He said, the messenger touched it with his hand, I am not going to cut it. Tib refers to all that is used as perfume and fragrance like musk and rose. Well, turb is synonymous with turab, meaning earth and soil. As for tuba, there are two interpretations. A tree in paradise, whose shade is such that the rider will still be riding in its shade even after 100 years' journey. And secondly, it is a verbal noun, noun verb, masdar, of the verb taba yatibu, to be pleasant, sweet, agreeable and delicious. When used with the preposition li taba lahu, it means it delighted, pleased and gave pleasure to him. One either smells perfume, and the person who does so is muntashiq, or applies it to his body, which is expressed by the author with the use of multathim, which derives from the word lathama, he kissed, and is the active participle form or the ismul fa'il. Iltathama also refers to the wearing of litham, a face veil, and can imply putting the mouth over the place of the face veil. The reference here is to the sand that sticks to the face like a wheel if one were to kiss the blessed tomb of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Perhaps this is what Imam Busayri is implying. The author is saying that no fragrance is comparable to that of the earth in which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is buried, and congratulates all who smell it and cover their face in its dust. The meaning of perfume here can be construed therefore as being metaphorical and is common in Arabic poetry, or it can be construed to be literal, which begs the question. What is the question? Why are we not able to smell it when we visit the Prophet's tomb? The answer to this is that we are no different from a person who has flu and is not able to smell perfume. The conditions and states of the unseen cannot be perceived except by the chosen servants of God. And the inability to perceive does not mean that it does not exist. All matters pertaining to the unseen fall into this category. That's why it's called Al-Wariseen. For example, the Prophet ﷺ described the place between his residence, which is now where his tomb is, and the pulpit, the mimbar, as a garden from the gardens of paradise. Saying, مَا بَيْنَ بَيْتِي وَمِنْبَرِ رَوْضَةٌ مِنْ رِيَاضِ الْجَنَّةِ, written in Sahih Bukhari. Between my house and my pulpit is the gardens of paradise. As for the kissing of graves, it is offensive according to Islamic law. The author mentions it, intending the aggrandizement of the state of the grave of the Prophet. So this is mubalagha, which is the norm in poetry. However, there are some scholars who have indicated its permissibility, based upon a report mentioned by As-Samahudi in his Khulasatul Wafa bi Akhbari Dar al-Mustafa, the name of a book, that states that Fatima radiallahu anha, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, took the soil of the grave of her father and kissed it, saying, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد ألا يشم مدى الزبان غواليا. There is no blame upon he who smells the grave of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to not smell perfume for the rest of his life. Or put it another way, what would one who smells the grave of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what would he have lost if he does not smell perfume for the rest of his life? Ibn Kathir, in his commentary on the Holy Quran, says a group of them, within the scholars, and among them a Shaykh Abu Nasr al-Sabbagh in his book Al-Shamil, have narrated the famous incident from Al-Utbi, who said, I was sitting at the tomb of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kuntu jalisa inda qabr al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, faja'a a'rabiyyun, and a Bedouin came. Faqala, and he said, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. He said, peace be upon you, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sami'tu Allah yaqul, I have heard Allah saying, meaning in the Holy Quran, in verse 64, Surah Nisa, وَلَوْ أَنَّهُمْ إِذْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ جَاءُوكَ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوا اللَّهَ وَاسْتَغْفَرَ لَهُمُ الرَّسُولُ لَوَجَدُوا اللَّهَ تَوَّابًا رَحِيمًا. See, I've heard Allah saying, if they had only, when they had been unjust to themselves, committed sin, come to you, O Muhammad, and sought forgiveness from Allah, and the Messenger sought forgiveness for them, they would have found Allah most accepting of repentance and most merciful. وَقَدْ جِئْتُكَ مُسْتَغْفِرًا لِذَنْبِي مُسْتَشْفِعًا بِكَ إِلَى رَبِّي. He said, I have come to you, he's addressing the Prophet ﷺ, I have come to you seeking forgiveness for my sins and seeking your intercession in the presence of my Lord. And then he started, he started saying these lines of poetry. يَا خَيْرَ مَنْ دُفِنَتْ بِالْقَاءِ أَعْظُمُهُ فَطَابَ مِنْ طِيبِهِنَّ الْقَاعُ وَالْأَكَمُ نَفْسِ الْفِدَاءُ لِقَبْرٍ أَنْتَ سَاكِنُهُ فيه العفاف وفيه الجود والكرم ثم انصرف الأعرابي, and then he went off. So he said, oh, best of those whose bones are buried in the depths of the earth, and from whose fragrance the depths of the earth and the hills have become pleasant. May I be ransomed for a grave of which you are its inhabitant. In it I found purity, generosity and magnificence. Then the Bedouin left. فَضَرَبَتْنِي عَيْنِي فَرَأَيْتُ النَّبِيَّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ فِي النَّوْمِ. He said, Utbi said, the Bedouin left and I dozed off. And I saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that sleep, that short sleep. فَقَالَ يَا عُتْبِي إِلْحَقِ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ. He said, the Prophet said in the dream to him, he said, Utbi, go catch up with the Bedouin, run after the Bedouin, فَبَشِّرْهُ أَنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ غَفَرَ لَهُ, and give him glad tidings that Allah has forgiven him. So this incident, which is great and mashhur, well known and established and well known, is also related by Imam An-Nawawi in his Al-Adhkar and in his Al-Majmu' and in his Al-Idah fi Manasik Al-Hajj, in the chapters on visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. Ibn Jama'a mentions it in his Hidayatul Sadiq, Ibn Aqil in his Al-Tadhkirah, Ibn Qudama in his Al-Mughni, As-Samahudi in his Khulasat Al-Wafa, Ibn Kathir also mentions it in his Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, and Abu Faraj ibn Qudama in his Ashar al-Kabir, Al-Bahuti al-Hanbali in his Kashaf al-Qina, Taqiyuddin al-Subuki in his Shifa al-Siqan, and Ibn al-Jawzi on his Muthir al-Gharam al-Sakin ila Ashraf al-Amakin. And Imam al-Bayhaqi in Shu'ab al-Iman, the branches of faith, Ibn al-Asakir in Mukhtasar Tarikh Dimashq, Ibn Hajar al-Haytami in his Al-Jawhar al-Munaddam, and Ibn Najjar in his Akhbar al-Madinah. So you can see how many books this story which he has narrated has been mentioned. It is sad, however, to note that some of our brothers have resorted to dishonesty to assert their views. In the edition of Imam Nawawi's Al-Adhkar, published in Darul Huda Riyadh in the year 1408 of the Hijrah, two instances of such dishonesty is evident. Firstly, the episode of Al-Utbi has been removed from the book, and secondly, the heading, chapter on visiting the tomb of the Messenger, has been changed to chapter on visiting the mosque of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then there is the incident concerning a Shaykh Ahmad ibn Ali ibn Yahya al-Rifa'i, Imam al-Rifa'i al-Ansari, who was born in Abida in Iraq, who was lived from the year 512 to 578 after Hijrah. He used to ask the pilgrims to convey his salutations to the Prophet ﷺ every year when they go for Hajj. When he, rahimahullah, made the journey to the Prophet's tomb himself, he stood in front of it and he said, في حالة البعد روحي كنت أرسلها تقبل الأرض عني فهي نائبتي وهذه نوبة الأشباح قد ظهرت فامدد يمينك كي تحظى بها شفتي. In a distant state, when I was traveling, I used to send my soul to kiss the earth of your tomb on my behalf as my representative. And now the turn of the physical bodies has appeared. Here physically now. So stretch your blessed right hand so that my lips may have the good fortune of kissing it. It is reported that the blessed hand of the Prophet ﷺ did appear and he kissed it. Then this brings us to an end of part 3 of Imam Busayri's poem, because as we said, it's divided into 10 parts, right? So we go on to the 4th part, part 4. Part 4 mentions the birth of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this part of the poem talks about the birth of the Prophet ﷺ and the events that took place that announced his arrival upon this earth. These events were a reminder of his greatness and the success of his mission, which even the clairvoyants had predicted and which had alarmed the jinns. So Imam al-Busayri, he says, and this begins this part 4 by saying, أبان مولده عن طيب عنصره يا طيب مفتتح منه ومختتم. أبان مولده عن طيب عنصره يا طيب مفتتح منه ومختتم. The events of his birth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, unveil the purity and goodness of his origins. Oh, how pleasant the beginning of his lineage and its ending. It is interesting to note that in the book Subul al-Huda wa Rashad, volume 1, page 79, the origins here are said to refer to the earth of the tomb of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For it is stated that everyone is created from the earth in which he would be buried. That's another interpretation. Then the past tense abana means adhara or kashafa, meaning to reveal, unveil, to show and cover. The word mawlid, abana mawliduhu, refers to the birth or the time of the birth, place of the birth. In fact, it refers to all three. Birth, time of birth, place of birth. Now this line of prose talks about the noble descent of the Prophet ﷺ. Tibi unsurihi, good and pleasant origins. A reference to the forefathers of the Prophet ﷺ. Then the vocative ya tiba, has been used, as is the common practice among the Arabs, to invoke surprise and amazement at the nobility of the Prophet's lineage, which begins with Adam alayhi salam and ends with his father Abdullah. However, there are some who hold that muftatah, which appears in some books as mubtada in some texts, is a reference to the Prophet's grandfather Hashim, and mukhtatam a reference to the Prophet himself. So this is another interpretation. In Al-Mawahib al-Ladunniya by Imam Qustulani, Al-Mawahib al-Ladunniya, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi is reported, when Allah wanted to create Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in the womb of his mother Amina, on the night of a Friday, which was the first night of Rajab, He subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Ridwan, the guardian angel of paradise, to open the doors of Firdaus, Firdaus, the highest heaven. And a caller called out in the heavens and the earth, the hidden treasure of light, from which the prophet of guidance would be created, shall lodge itself in the womb of his mother, meaning this man, till its full term, and he would appear as a bringer of glad tidings and a warner to mankind. Among the events that occurred at the time of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ is that which has been reported from his mother Amina, as mentioned by Imam al-Qustulani in his Al-Mawahib. Ibn Abbas who said, Amina used to relate, an angel came to me in a dream during my 6th month of pregnancy and said to me, O Amina, you are pregnant with the best of the worlds. When you give birth to him, name him Muhammad and keep it secret. When I started to experience the pains of labor, no one knew that I was home alone, including Abdul Muttalib, who was doing his tawaf around the Kaaba. I heard a loud bang that scared me. Then I saw what looked like the wing of a white bird that stroked my chest, causing all fear to subside, and the pain I was feeling disappeared. Before me appeared a white drink which I drank, after which a bright light fell upon me, and I was surrounded by some women, tall as palm trees, who looked like the women of the tribe of Abdu Manaf. I was amazed, thinking, oh, how did they find out about me? They said to me, we are Asiya, the Pharaoh's wife, and Maryam, the mother of Isa alayhi salam, the daughter of Imran. My condition continued to intensify, and I could hear the banging getting louder and more frightening hour after hour. While I was still going through this, I suddenly saw a piece of white silk stretched between heaven and earth, and heard someone say, hide him so people cannot see him. I saw men standing in the air with silver jugs in their hands. I saw a group of birds filling my room, each possessing emerald beaks and ruby wings. Then Allah removed the veil from my sight, and I witnessed the whole earth, east and west, and 3 banners erected, one in the east, one in the west, and one on top of the Kaaba. Then I gave birth to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Immediately he was prostrating, doing sujood, raising his 2 hands to heaven as if in humble supplication. Then I saw a white cloud coming from heaven, which covered him, causing him to disappear from my sight. And I heard a voice calling, take him around to all the corners of earth, east and west, and into the oceans, so all will know him by his name, his attributes and his form. Then the cloud quickly disappeared. This is one of many narrations. The most famous event that preceded the birth of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the incident of the elephant army led by Abraha, who had come to destroy the Kaaba. I think we're familiar with that. The army was destroyed, as mentioned in chapter 111 of the Holy Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ was born in that year. Imam Busayri, he then says, يَوْمٌ تَفَرَّسَ فِيهِ الْفُرْسُ أَنَّهُمْ قَدْ أُنذِرُوا بِحُلُولِ الْبُؤْسِ وَالنِّقَامِ. يَوْمَ تَفَرَّسَ فِيهِ الْفُرْسُ أَنَّهُمْ قَدْ أُنذِرُوا بِحُلُولِ الْبُؤْسِ وَالنِّقَامِ. It was the day of the birth of the Prophet, when the Persians, based on the discernment of the events and signs that they witnessed, knew that they had been pre-warned of the descent of distress and indignation. The preponderant opinion, the stronger opinion, is that the Prophet ﷺ was born at the break of dawn on a Monday, the 12th of Rabiul Awwal. In fact, Ibn al-Jawzi, who lived from 510 to 591, reported that there was consensus with regard to it, and that the people of Makkah used to visit the birthplace of the Prophet ﷺ on that day. The day of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ is also more blessed and virtuous than the Laylatul Qadr, as mentioned in Al-Mawahib al-Dunya, based on 3 reasons. Firstly, the night of the Prophet's birth is the night of his appearance, while Laylatul Qadr is a gift to him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So definitely the person whose reason for the gift is more virtuous, more honorable. Secondly, Laylatul Qadr is blessed with the descent of angels, while the night of his birth, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is blessed with his appearance, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet is superior to the angels in stature. Thirdly, the virtues of Laylatul Qadr are specific to the followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those who believe in him. While the virtues of the night of his birth extend to all of creation. For he sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent as a mercy to all of creation. The events which were a sign of the fall from grace of the Persian Empire have been mentioned in the coming lines of prose. The Persians were at the time of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ fire worshippers, referred to as Magians and fire kindlers, who had fire temples in which was an altar whose fire was kept ever burning. They were called the Furs, for they were descended from a man who had more than 10 sons, who became brave and skilled horsemen, Fursan. Imam Busairi goes on to say, وَبَاتَ إِيوَانُ كِسْرَى وَهُوَ مُنْصَدِعٌ كَشَمْلِ أَصْحَابِ كِسْرَى غَيْرَ مُلْتَئِمِ. وَبَاتَ إِيوَانُ كِسْرَى وَهُوَ مُنْصَدِعٌ كَشَمْلِ أَصْحَابِ كِسْرَى غَيْرَ مُلْتَئِمِ. That night, cracks appeared in the structure of the palace of the king of Persia, just like the state of the affairs of the supporters of the Persian king were never to be mended and restored. The Prophet ﷺ was born during the reign of Naushirawan, the 20th king of the 4th dynasty of Persia. Kisra was a title for a Persian king, just like Qaisar was a title for the king of Rome, and Tubba, a title for a Yemeni king mentioned in the Quran in Surah Dukhan, and An-Najashi was the title for an Ethiopian king. It has been reported that when cracks appeared in the structure of the palace, 14 of his 22 towers or balconies collapsed. The king it must have been an earthquake, right? The king is reported to have consulted An-Nu'man, the Arab king, asking him about the significance of the happening. An-Nu'man consulted the clay wine Sadih, you can read it in the Sirah Ibn Hisham, who was on the verge of death at the time, and he said that prisoners, male and female, would be taken, and kings and queens equivalent to the number of pillars that collapsed would die. The incident of the cracks in the towers and collapse of the balconies of the palace of the Persian king have been rated by many scholars like Imam al-Bayhaqi, al-Tabari, Ibn Asakir, and al-Mawardi from Makhzum ibn Hani. However, some contemporary scholars have questioned the validity of these reports due to the absence of a prophetic narration that supports it, and because there is no mention of it, according to them, in Persian historical reports. For this, you can perhaps refer to the Seal, the Nectar, or Fiqh Sirah by the Egyptian scholar Muhammad Ghazali. They have mentioned this. The successors of the Persian king, Naushirawan, never enjoyed the same power and resources And after the initial success of the Persians against the Romans, which is mentioned in the Quran, Surah Rum, they fell into ruin until totally conquered during the reign of the second Caliph Umar ibn Khattab. The Persians gained control of Yemen in 575 AD, and their rule ended when the Persian governor Ba'adan embraced Islam in 628 AD. وَالنَّارُ خَامِدَةُ الْأَنْفَاسِ مِنْ أَسَفٍ عَلَيْهِ وَالنَّحْرُ سَاهِ الْعَيْنِ مِنْ سَدَمٍ. Line 62 or 63. وَالنَّارُ خَامِدَةُ الْأَنْفَاسِ مِنْ أَسَفٍ عَلَيْهِ وَالنَّحْرُ سَاهِ الْعَيْنِ مِنْ سَدَمٍ. And the flames of the fire of the altars in Persia were extinguished due to extreme grief upon it, meaning the ruins of the palace and the birth of Muhammad. And the source of the river Euphrates stopped oozing water due to sorrow. Now the reference here is to the fire temple of the Zoroastrians, who revered the fire and regarded it together with clean water as angels of ritual, as agents of ritual purity. The fire was always kept burning by worshippers or servants in constant attendance. The fire had been kept burning for 1,000 or 2,000 years according to some. And on the day of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, those flames died down and only the burning embers remained. In the Arabic language, khumudun nar refers to the extinguishment of flames while the embers are still glowing, while humudun nar with a ha refers to the extinguishment of both flames and embers. Then here, anfas, breaths literally, which refer to the sighs of grief of a person beset by extreme sorrow, have been metaphorically used to refer to the flames. The pronoun alayhi, the he in alayhi, can refer to either the palace of the Persian king that lay in ruins, or the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. And that's why I said, and the flames of the fire of the altars in Persian brackets were extinguished due to extreme grief upon him, and it referring to the ruins of the palace, and the birth of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So we say the pronoun he in alayhi can refer to either the palace of the Persian king that lay in ruins, or the birth of the Prophet himself ﷺ, which was reason for grief for the fire worshippers, for they would have to abandon its worship. Ain refers to a spring or water source in context, although it has several other meanings. Ain can also mean eye, the physical eye. Sahil Ain means that the source of the Euphrates had stopped oozing water, for it too had been affected by the event. Water was the heartbeat of both their material and spiritual life. The author has likened it to the human eye, regarding which the expression Sahil Ain would refer to an eye that does not blink, Sakino Tarf. Here the metaphor, the isti'ara, is used to imply a similarity in relationship and an inference to a similarity in state between human reaction to the events and the physical manifestation of those events that could be observed with regard to the fire and the river. وَسَاءَ سَاوَةَ أَنْ غَاضَتْ بُحَيْرَتُهَا وَرُدَّ وَارِدُهَا بِالْغَيْظِ حِينَ ظَمٍ. وَسَاءَ سَاوَةَ أَنْ غَاضَتْ بُحَيْرَتُهَا وَرُدَّ وَارِدُهَا بِالْغَيْظِ حِينَ ظَمٍ. The dwellers of Sawa were aggrieved by the disappearance of the water of its lake. And the one who came to it for water went back angry when he experienced thirst. The Arabic word Gawda, which is written as Gaw-Saw without a dot in some text, means to sink, the water sank. Sawa is a Persian city located between the cities of Hamadan and Ar-Roy. It was a thriving city till 617 after Hijrah, when the Tatars destroyed it and killed all its inhabitants. They also burned a huge library in Sawa. The sinking of the water of the lake of the city of Sawa is one of the signs mentioned in the prediction of Seti, the clairvoyant we just mentioned. Although this narration is deemed to be unreliable by Imam al-Dhahabi in his Tariq al-Islam, it does point to the fact that it was a well-known city. Ibn Kathir mentioned that Satih was a clairvoyant, Kahin, and had predicted the coming of the Prophet ﷺ and mentioned his appointment to prophethood and his attributes. You can also read this in the Seerah of Ibn Hisham. Sawa is the second part of a genitive construction, what we call Idafa. The first part of the genitive construction, the Mudaf, referring to the dwellers of the city, has been dropped. So it's actually Ahlu Sawa, the dwellers of Sawa. This is common in the Arabic language. We saw this in, we can see this in Surah Yusuf in verse 82. Okay? Where Allah says, وَاسْأَلِ الْقَرِّيَةَ الَّتِي كُنَّا فِيهَا. Ask the village, literally, meaning ask the dwellers of the village in which we were. We'll be coming to that, inshallah, in Surah Yusuf. Now, Sawa was a huge lake with great economic and religious significance, especially for those who lived close to it due to the sea trade that took place by way of ships that sailed into it. Its course was also lined with places of worship. And Imam al-Busayri is saying that the dwellers of Sawa, who were Persians, were aggrieved on the night of the birth of the Prophet ﷺ by the disappearance of the water of that great lake, which was a source of water and livelihood for them. When one of them went to fetch water from it at night, he returned with great anger due to his thirst instead of water. Returned with anger instead of water. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.